Welcome to the Checkpoint Certified Security Administrator course. In this particular module, we are going to be taking a look at application control and URL filtering. So, we want to see how to filter user traffic, how to block access to specific websites during work hours or based on organizational policy, and also how to prevent certain applications from accessing the internet, once again based on companies or organizational policy. So to do this, would have to come to our smart console, we'll come to our security gateway, and then we'll turn on the application control blade, and also turn on the URL filtering blade. We'll click on OK. We'll click on OK. Now, because we have two security gateways, we can do the same thing for the two security gateways. Assuming Cluster XL had been enabled, okay, assuming we had configured clustering, now using this synchronization interface, the very moment we make changes to Gateway 1, the configurations are replicated automatically on Gateway 2. But because Cluster XL has not been enabled yet, would have to manually replicate our configurations. But for now, this Windows Server, its default gateway is 192.168.15.1. So if Windows Server wants to access the internet, its traffic flows in this direction. It passes through Gateway 1 and then comes to the ISP router and then goes to the internet. However, if Gateway 1 goes down and Cluster XL has been enabled, then the Windows Server can pass through this gateway. So for now, we'll just focus on Gateway 1. So coming back to our Windows Server, having turned on application control and URL filtering, the next thing that we need to do will be to come to security policies, and then we're going to create a policy layer for it. Now, under access control, you have several policy layers. This is one policy layer. This is another policy layer. So this particular policy layer focuses on just the access control blade. It permits or denies traffic based on an access control list. That is, it permits traffic from computer A to computer B or from computer B to computer C without filtering the traffic, without inspecting the traffic. So the right word or the keyword is inspection. Your access control policy, or rather the policy layer that focuses on access control, does not inspect your traffic. If you want to inspect traffic, then you have to create a separate policy layer for inspection of traffic. So to do this, we'd have to right click on policy, we'll click on edit policy, and then we'll come to access control. Why access control? Let's take a look at the reason why we are picking access control. Now, if you come to security gateway and if you come to gateways and servers, you would observe that under network security, you have access control. So under access control, you have the firewall blade, you have your IPsec VPN, mobile access, application control, URL filtering, identity awareness, and content awareness. Now, when you come to threat prevention, you have all these blades. Okay, under Sandblast, you have threat emulation and threat extraction. Under threat prevention, you have IPS, antibot, and antivirus. So under access control, we have application control and URL filtering, which is why when we come to security policies, rather than going to threat prevention, we're going to come to access control. So we'll click on edit policy. Now, once again, because application control and URL filtering all fall under access control, we're going to be clicking on the plus symbol under access control. So we'll click on this and then we're going to click on create a new layer. So we're going to uncheck firewall because we have a layer for firewall. So we're going to click on, what we need to do will be to click on application and URL filtering. Okay, so having done this, then we're going to click on OK. Okay, so we need to give this a name. So we're going to call this application and URL filtering. So let's give this a name. So we're going to type application app and URL filtering. Okay, so having done this, we'll click on OK and then we'll click on OK. So as you can see, a new policy layer is going to be created. Just observe, okay, this is beautiful. So as you can see, we now have a new policy layer for application and URL filtering, which is going to be inspecting our traffic. So we'll click on application and URL filtering. Let's close this panel. Okay, so by default, you have a cleanup rule that drops traffic. Now this should be changed to accept. Do not mix it up. For your normal firewall rule that permits traffic based on access control without inspection, the cleanup rule should be dropped. But for your application and URL filtering, the cleanup rule should be accept. Your traffic is enforced from top to bottom. So your traffic, if a particular user tries to access the internet, the traffic is going to be matched against the first policy layer. So there's a policy here that says, okay, allow Windows Server to access the internet. So if this is set to accept, the traffic is going to be accepted. If it is set to drop, then the traffic is going to be dropped. So let's say Windows Server wants to access the internet. So the first policy layer, the traffic is going to be inspected against the first policy layer. After it has been accepted, then it comes down to the second policy layer, which is application and URL filtering. So if there is no match, if there's no rule stopping the traffic, then the traffic is also accepted. But let's say we want to prevent Windows Server from accessing Facebook and Instagram. What we can do will be to create a policy above the cleanup rule, and we are going to call this no social media because we want to block access to social media. So we'll say no social media. For the source, we're going to select our Windows Server. It can be Windows Server, it can be anybody, whosoever. For the destination, we're going to select all internet. For VPN, it's going to be any. For services and application, we'll leave it as. Okay, no, for services and application, we'll need to search for social networking. So we'll just search for social networking. Social networking is actually a category that covers Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and many social websites. So we're going to block the entire category and then we're going to track this. Okay, so let's track this. Let's also track everything. Okay, so having done this, we'll leave it as policy. Okay, so for installation, it's going to be policy installation targets. Having done this, okay, one more thing. Rather than leaving it as drop, we want the users to be notified that their traffic has been dropped. So we're going to change it from drop, then we'll select drop with a blocked message. Okay, having done this, we're going to click on install policy. And then as soon as the policy has been installed, then we're going to come to our web browser and then we'll try to access Facebook. Okay, so let's click on install. Okay, so the policy installation is still ongoing. We would wait for the policy installation to get completed. And after the policy installation has been completed, then we'll try to access Facebook and Instagram and many more. Then we're going to observe that our traffic is going to be blocked and we are going to be shown user check messages. So for exam purposes, you're going to be asked what user check messages are. Your user check messages refers to messages that are shown when a particular user violates company's policy. Okay, this is fine. So policy has been installed. We'll come to our web browser. Okay, so let's open our web browser and then we'll try to access Facebook and the rest of them. Okay, so let's click on facebook.com. Let's see what happens. Let's also visit instagram.com. Okay, now observe something. We are being shown a warning telling us that the traffic is being inspected. Well, we'll click on advanced and then we're going to click on accept the risks. As you can see, traffic to Facebook has been blocked. So this particular user can no longer access Facebook. And the user is shown a user check message that says that your page has been blocked and that this blockage was done in accordance with the organization's security policy. So the user can contest this by clicking on a particular button to notify the administrator. So the same thing happens for Instagram. If you observe, the user can no longer access Instagram. Why? Because we blocked social media. Okay, so as you can see, let's refresh this. So as you can see, the user cannot access Instagram. But let's try visiting, say maybe Quora, or let's visit CNN. So CNN should be a news outlet. It's not a social media website. So if you try visiting CNN as an example, you would observe that CNN opens. So there is internet access, but users cannot access social media. So aside social media, you can also block access to pornographic websites. You can block access to gambling websites. You can block access to alcoholic websites or any illegal website based on your company's policy. So with this, we've come to the end of this particular module. I'll meet you in the next one. Thank you.